Good evening, everyone. My name is Adam. On behalf of Book Soup, I am so excited to welcome you to tonight's event with Hayden Panettiere. In conversation with Alicia Oxy, discussing This Is Me, A Reckoning. Book Soup has some really cool events coming up, like Pulitzer Prize winner Andrew Sean Greer, Elliot Glazer of Broad City, so be sure to check out our Instagram. It's just @BookSoup for all the exciting happenings coming up. Following this event, we will be doing a signing line down here. Please note the letter on the blue card you were handed in at checkout, and we will take that from you once you get into line. Please remain seated until your letter is called. Reminder that Hayden will not be signing any merchandise and will only be signing copies of the book. Additionally, you can take photos during the program. We ask no videos, and then there will be no photos taken during the meet and greet as it slows down the line. Thank you for respecting these requests. And finally, please take a moment to silence your cell phones if you have not already. And now to introduce our special guests. Alicia Oxy is a Los Angeles-based actress, best-selling author, podcast host, entrepreneur, and mother who is likely most recognized for her role as Lucy opposite Matthew McConaughey from the Golden Globe-nominated HBO series True Detective. Hayden Panettiere is an actress and producer, best known for her roles as Claire Bennett on the NBC series Nashville, which earned her 2 Golden Globe nominations. She was memorably seen starring in Scream 4 and was praised her role in Scream 6. Hayden was the cover girl for Neutrogena's worldwide campaign and remained a brand ambassador for nearly 10 years. This Is Me is her first book. Woo-hoo. Let's give it up for Hayden and Alicia. Yeah.
To talk to you about you. This is you. And any questions that we ask from the audience, from me right now, just know that we are privileged to be able to hear your heart and your words and what really happened. And I thank you for your bravery. All right.
Thank you for being here.
Woo! I love this. We start the book with life quakes. Will you tell everybody what a life quake is?
It is anything that shakes your life, anything that is life-altering event. I talk about it in the book and describe it perfectly.
In beautiful detail. This is what you said, that its experiences fractured your sense of self. So I'm really curious if there was a certain life quake, because she talks about many of them in the book, the countless amounts. I want to know if there was a certain life quake that propelled you to tell your version, your story, this timing now.
It had to be the postpartum depression. When I talked about that on Live with Kelly and Michael, they had written it into Nashville, so I was also acting it out. And when I walked out there and that topic came up, I didn't even think twice about sharing my experience and saying I went through it myself, and didn't realize the stigma around it, and that nobody really felt like they could talk about it. And the reaction was overwhelmingly supportive by so many women. But then I talk about in the book how I walked off stage, thinking I did a great job, like I'm proud of myself. Walked off and ended up getting that call from my manager saying, Neutrogena wants to fire you over this. It's against your morality clause. And I was like, of all the things that I've done, all the things that I've been caught doing, this is what gets me fired?
Honesty.
Wow.
This is when I stopped using Neutrogena. Let me just tell you, as soon as I read that in your book, I even saw it. Yes, as a woman that also is a mother and experienced postpartum, to be able to have somebody put a mic in front of your face and be able to share your experience and to be treated that way is not how we need to treat the mothers and women.
Or human beings.
Or human beings. Since you started there, I really do have a question. Something that you wrote in the book that I thought was so poignant. It was I quote, "A thought that hit me. I am an actor. If I can manufacture tears, I can manufacture happiness." And Vlad's saying to you, if you can control your mind, you can control everything, and happiness is a choice. I, as again, someone who experienced postpartum anxiety after having my child, about 6 months after having her, I really would love your experience of when you were aware that it was postpartum, who helped you, what pulled you out, what resources, especially when you're hit with being essentially fired for trying to get help and help other people as well.
There were none. I mean, I had never heard a friend, anybody, any woman say to me, "Hey, just heads up." If they said anything, it was like, "Oh, the baby blues." Okay, the baby blues are like, it took me so long because I was like, this too shall pass, this too shall pass, like, and then I was like, no, something is very, very wrong. This is lasting too long. Yeah, I ended up, trying to reduce the anxiety and with alcohol in any way that I could. I ended up flying to treatment, and even the doctors didn't suggest that this should be something that I'm dealing with. So I walked out sober, but still so depressed inside. Something is still so wrong. And then I was acting it out on the show as well, and I was like, I don't know where my character begins and I end. And so when you go home, when you act your way through that, the last thing that you want to do when you get home is process what's going on, check in with yourself. So you just want to numb.
Yes.
Right? You do anything. You're in like this desperate mode where you'll do anything to get rid of it.
The palpitations, the panic, I think not a lot of people they talk about postpartum depression. We hear about that, the baby blues, or that there might be you wanted to harm to your baby. That's not something that I experienced.
No, neither did I. There's a spectrum.
There is
Definitely
a massive spectrum. And I appreciate this, where I give Nashville some credit or some storylines trying to touch on it, but then they still weren't giving the resources, right? They still weren't giving different ways to help. Nashville didn't necessarily attach the postpartum storyline with certain ideas of how to actually help.
I wish they had asked me, approached
Yes.
me, and said, what does it really feel like? How can we do justice to this topic? How can we do it properly? And I was just like, you're just guessing. You're like taking a shot in the dark and maybe Googling it, but nobody, there's nothing to really Google. Brooke Shields said something years ago, and who basically just took a shot at her, and it shut everyone up.
It did. But you having the bravery to talk about it in this book hopefully will start more conversations too. The more people that talk about it.
Get it out. Find the right person, people to talk to, the therapist who has actual experience in the matter, and helps you, go, I'm not crazy. This isn't, I'm not creating this in my head, and I have no control over this. I'm not driving this vehicle.
You didn't cause it. You can't cure it on your
Who
own.
would choose to? I mean, the worst thing that somebody said to me is that it was a personal choice that I was making, and I was like, who would choose to feel like this?
No.
Like, how could you even say that to me? I have this beautiful child this healthy, everything to celebrate, and I'm completely incapable of doing it. And I feel so, I felt so guilt-ridden that I was incapable of doing it.
That's the other part of it that nobody really discusses, is the guilt that's attached to the chemical imbalance. All these beautiful chemicals just made this gorgeous human being. It took 10 months to birth this thing, and now for your body to reset itself. And I think motherhood too comes with its own level of rebirth, who you are. And that's where I want to go back to the beginning of who you are. So at 8 months old, in your own infancy, in your own marking of this world, you're thrusted into the spotlight, completely not your decision at all. And you are raised in an environment, in a profession where I, as an adult, have had life lessons, and I can pull on those to emote and perform and do.
Yeah, that's what you have to do to get there.
But you started in this world at 8 months old. You're more successful than most actors by 5. You're supporting, but you're not figuring, how do you get to learn who you are?
I had my first identity crisis. I remember exactly where I was standing in my bedroom at 12 years old. And I was existing either playing characters or in and out of an audition room, which you know is the most brutal, this can be the most brutal experience, like this dark, cold room and just this row of people like judging you, and it's but you know, as you talked about, like when they figured out that I could cry on command, that was on Guiding Light, and I'll never forget it. And once they figured that out, it was just like I never stopped crying. I had leukemia, I shot my mom's boyfriend, I got kidnapped, I then got rescued and fell down a well, because that just happens, right? Normally, there's a well just hidden there after you escape in the woods.
Yeah, that's happened to me.
But it went from, you know, being able to think of losing a pet to you become like numb, and you go through life experiences and the imagery. You then have to go to the places you have to go, and your brain are so dark and so ugly, and you're sitting there then afterwards getting praise and love for it, and they're going, oh my God, when I feel pain, I get love.
You get love, and
Like
that's how you
twisted.
And nobody ever taught you then. It's not like an acting coach is then going to be like, okay, so after your dog dies, this is how you deal with grief. No, we're just going to let you cry, give you a high five, and like move on. So then how in life are you supposed to be developing coping mechanisms for the life lessons that you are portraying on screen? It's such an opposite evolution of a human being.
It really is. But I remember being like very aware of how that it was going to come back and bite me in the butt and come out sideways as an adult. I remember standing there going, I'm playing all these characters and I feel like they're genuine and they're a part of me, but who am I outside of this? What is my identity? I'm trying to exist in 2 different worlds, the world of my peers and fit in that way, and yet I'm fitting and existing in this very, very adult world at the same time. I was just remember being having to file it away as I called it resilient at the time, and it was more like we're just gonna forget that and not focus on that memory. We're moving on.
And then allowing just for other people to write your experiences, not only in a scripted form, but then the tabloids take hold. So it's like your life is just being written outside of who you are, and they're just expecting you to show up and stand in these shoes and not have an opinion about it.
And then that was one of the big reasons why I wrote this, that I feel like Like, so many people have been telling my story for years, and it was it was time for me to scream and show people, tell people the big picture.
It's time for reckoning.
Hence our
A reckoning. I want to ask, okay, you guys, this is the end of this press tour, and she has been giving, every question has come at you. And this is so incredibly personal, now that you've done a bunch of interviews, what have you learned about how you like to talk about the book, and how do you take care of yourself in talking about it?
I realized that I have been, like, if I've ever had to do something like this in the past, it was talking about a project, talking about a character that was not me. It was almost like I had something to hide behind, like an alter ego kind of situation, like a Sasha Fierce, you guys know.
Totally.
Right? It was like that, but this, every interview, no matter how many times I talk about these topics, I'm always the rawest version of me, and it doesn't get easier. But then I look at you guys and your support and reaction, and I'm like, it's worth it.
I feel like you've been the most beautiful and bravest, getting to speak your own words and not have a topic or an acting job to have to talk about. It's really nice to see.
Thank you.
Woo!
I hope it opens the door for other people to feel brave enough to share their stories.
Well, here's the thing. You got thrusted into this early on, and it took you maybe a while to feel okay fully being you, because we've all praised you for being everybody else. Not only behind the camera, in front of the camera, the audience has. And I'm sorry that it took us so long to be able to let you stand in your own shoes and be able to say your own words and be able to write your own story.
It's been just so healing, and so many people have come up to me within the industry and outside of the industry and shared their stories with me and said, because you've talked about your mental health, it gave me the courage to be honest about mine and get myself help, and you saved my life. So, and I was like, this is worth it. I can hopefully leave the world a better place than I found it.
The strength is in our vulnerability, and we've given you so many words to say all the time, not being able to fully get to see you and treat you as a person. This to me is the most riveting, and to be able to really be able to help somebody. Really, so much of this book, you guys, this book is amazing. Because it is so much of you, the building blocks. And the life quakes that has allowed you to rise, to pivot, to be resilient. In writing this, like a memorist, like you have to make choices about what you put in the book and what you leave out. I'm curious about the version of the book that you didn't write, like the things you held back. You don't have to share them here, but what did you decide where your line was of what to put in and what to keep for yourself?
Well, life, it doesn't always have a perfect flow, and things come at you. It's so left and right, and so I had to try to make my life flow in a way that was like some you can read on places that made more sense. So there are certain things that you do have to skip over. You're sitting there going, God, people would love that story though. But next one.
Next one.
I got a lot more stories.
You do have a lot more stories. Some people, and we got some questions about the next one. There is a moment in the book when you were 18, and I know you've touched on this in some of your interviews before, where you wanted your mom to just be your mom, and not a manager.
Mm-hmm.
And her response was, "You owe me." And really curious what those 3 words did to you in that moment. That shaped not only the relationship between the 2 of you, but for me when I read that, it changed every relationship that I think you ever had from that point before and that point thereafter.
Yeah, I remember, the location of where I did it. I can't say enough about my Heroes co-stars and how they protected me and gave me the courage. And so I think I did it in my trailer. I felt safe enough. I don't know what I did not expect a good reaction, but I didn't expect that, and that was the only thing Steph said. And she stormed out and meant it quite literally.
But okay, so if somebody is a recovering people pleaser, a lot of actors are, right? We really want to make sure that everybody else is
The actor that
taken
says
care
no
of.
is not the one that gets hired again.
Right, exactly. So to hear from your mother saying, you owe me, and now to have written this book and evaluated a lot of your pivotal relationships where maybe you stayed too long because you felt indebted to them or you felt like you had to save
I'm a
them.
Leo, I'm loyal.
Loyal to
your
your
fault.
Yes. Where do you stand now in relationships, or how have you evolved so that you are not owing anybody anything, but yet coming to the table with a communication in a place that is equal, where you're not in debt to anybody?
There's nothing worse than somebody saying that you owe them, and I didn't want to owe anything. I didn't care if I had to cover the diapers as a baby. To be indebted to somebody, you don't know how they're going to come at you and what they're going to ask for in return, and it can be very ugly, and they can be very aggressive about it. And I've had people directly in my face because of a role and have the expectations that I'm gonna take care of them in whatever way they want. Some people want money, some people want sex, some people want, all sorts of things. So owing anybody, I was like, we need to cut this off, and that's gonna hopefully protect me.
Protect you specifically, yeah. Because I think it's interesting when you show up in people's living rooms how there's an expectation now that you owe them anything.
They feel like they know you, and don't take this the wrong way. I've had very cool people be like, the boss, Bruce Springsteen, looked at me and said, I feel like I know you because you live in our living room. And I was like, like, but do you? And you're the boss. You know what I am? Stop it.
Tell me what you know.
Tell me what you know. No, but it was so genuine. And obviously, he was with his wife and his children, and it was such a kind thing. But sometimes when you live in somebody's house, they feel like they know you and you're therefore not a human being. And they don't ask you if it's okay to do certain things. It's like you're one of those characters at Disney world that's there in a costume, and you're there for whatever to make people happy. And I'm such an empath. The idea of disappointing, I disappoint somebody by saying no, I feel it. And it was very uncomfortable for me, so no was not an option. I just avoided saying no because I didn't want to feel that discomfort. But I was not raised to think no was even on the menu, even an option.
And now do you feel like it's a complete sentence?
And I am learning to put up personal boundaries, and I've been looking. I even looked up videos of like how to deal with anxiety, the anxiety of that, and they're like, actually, people pleasing isn't not what it sounds like at all. It's actually about your discomfort. And you have to then, so the next time somebody asks you for something, say no. Let that feeling rise up in your chest of disappointment and taking on their emotions, and it's basically like exposure therapy.
Yes. Again and again. That's something that I wanted to ask later, is it just kind of floored me reading chapter after chapter after chapter of your experience of people really letting you down or taking advantage, or like you said, stepping in, and you don't know anybody an explanation about anything. But I really am curious, of all of us sitting here, all of us getting to this human part in our lives too, is how do you decipher now who are the good ones?
The ones that have been with me through the darkest times and didn't run and stuck by me. Those are the soldiers, and the ones that are not afraid to look at you and go, why can't you fight so viciously? You fight so viciously and are so protective of other people. Why can't you do that for yourself?
Period.
Amen. Right there. Do it for yourself. I want to talk about the tabloids for a second here, okay? They have made your body, your relationships, your private pain literally into public property. And I'm really sorry. I just want to say that first and foremost. What does it feel like to watch
They're
your
standing outside if anyone wants to give them
You got
great
it.
headlines from
Should we go right now? Smack him with the book.
How do you reconcile watching your own story being written by other people, and even with Nashville, some of like the storylines started really mimicking what you were already going through? How did you reconcile that, and where were you able to store all this away until you got to write this book?
Well, I mean, my life changed pretty much overnight when I was 16 years old and Heroes came out. And you know, you have one idea of what the press is, and you're like, you're practicing your stuff. Stop it. Like,
I want to see you
do this paparazzi. And then I remember stepping out the first time it happened. It was like, felt like looking down the barrel of a gun, and it looked more like this.
And that's the picture.
And that's the picture that came out. And then I remember I talked about it in the book when I was 16, and I bent over that counter in the store, and they took a picture of me in my shorts, and it was cellulite. And I mean, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I hadn't enough like insecurities. I didn't need anyone to like add on top of it. And the shock of it, and the comments, and the amount that, I mean, I remember crew members coming up to me and telling me the amount of money they were offered just to tell these guys the location. It was wild. And they're experts. I mean, this is 2000, back in the 2000s, and there were no boundaries, and the things, I mean, you would not believe the things that these people would say to you just to get a reaction, and then that's cut out, so nobody ever sees like the full picture or understands. And then, you know, you're on in one magazine 1 week for being beautiful, and then the next week you're on it's about the cellulite edition, and you're going, wow, they're so good at building you up in the heart, higher they build you up, the farther they have to rip you down.
When I read some of the stuff that the paparazzi did, and then it was mirrored to an early experience that you were having in, let's say, in junior high. If you're willing to share, I know this is also in the book, but when you were in basically junior high, like 11, 12, 13 is when girls' school started getting really difficult, and they were attacking you for being in the movies or having a different life.
And these are people I had gone to school with since first grade. And I remember the first comment that I ever heard in class is something is what I'd give one of my classmates was, why does she get to miss school? So the resentment like started there, and then middle school was just brutal. I mean, kids are like vicious at that age, and not to mention I feel like the teachers weren't on my side either. So I was sitting there going, maybe they're seeing them not treat me a certain way and thinking that it's acceptable for them to bully me like this. I'm talking cornered in the bathroom, having swimming gym class, and them waiting till everyone else, and forcing me to stay in the pool, and got knocked around during the dance, got punched in the, it was pretty violent.
The bullying was really violent, really. Junior high is terrible.
It was like multiple.
Well, the part of the book that it took my breath away for a little bit, one as a mother, and also experiencing my own level of trauma in junior high, I think as most women do. But it was how you dealt with it when you would go home and write it and put it into a book. That was
It was the notes
No.
that I was being passed, that I was saving. I would get these. I was always hoping that it would be like an invite to a sleepover. Like never let go of that hope. And it was always something just out of left field, and I didn't have time to process it, so I like kept them under, and my mom would come in, and she would just see my legs sticking out from underneath the bed, and she was like, should I even ask? Like, what's happening right now? I'm like, nope, don't ask. And I would reread the notes, and I thought, maybe if I could understand where they're coming from somehow, I could find a way to fit in.
Now, going back and writing about some of these moments, this one specifically, how would you have liked your mother or an adult to have handled that situation to help you learn how to process? This is where I feel like our mental health really starts to kind of step in, right? Where the Teflon that sticks is always the negative. I wish it was the positive, right? You get one positive and 1,000 negatives, but we attach to those negatives. Going back and writing this book and revisiting that story what's the flip side of that? What is the right way to handle this? Because then I think you grow up and it's the tabloids are doing the same thing, right? So you're in this vortex.
I guess if you put it like that, it prepared me in a certain way, but it doesn't stop the pain of it. Like there's no, it became so bad. Parents were involved. Like my parents would ask the parent to come with the kid to the house to have like a discussion. I remember that happening, and it almost made it worse. And it started in like second grade, all the way up, and I remember being lucky enough to have some protective teachers, like at that young age. But once I got to middle school, it was a different world. And the most interesting part is I'd be sitting there in the middle of class just trying to get through the day, and they'd roll a TV and be like, oh, we're gonna watch a video for class today, and everyone's like, hooray! And it's Remember the Titans. And I'm sitting there going, is this legal? Like, what are you doing? And there's one substitute teacher who used to call me the big cheese in front of everyone. She would say what you think, because if you're an actress, you're the big cheese. And it was like, if you knew what your words are doing right now.
Shameful.
It's shameful, yes. It's interesting to me that this profession, right, or any profession that we see on a large scale, you're projected into this place of invincibility and that people could just tear you down, versus what perspective it is to try and get inside the human, right, and to try and pull you out of this emotional state that you're still developing. Your brain is still developing in this time and place.
Yeah, and it's your confidence being built, and it's I think it did. I mean, give me so much to pull from as an actor.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you have to find some kind of a upside, but I'm a lover. I just want to be accepted and fit in. And yeah, I mean, I remember anyone else struggle with the lunchroom finding a table?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I remember thinking, maybe I could get through the day if I just don't have to choose a place to sit in the lunchroom. And then you get there, and the topics, like, because I was on set, I missed out on so much that you're sitting there going, well, let me tell you about my day on set. And they're like, it's like, who can relate? Nobody can relate at that age.
Let's talk about also that age and being on set. The industry has changed, not as much as I'd like it to. The amount of disrespect, the amount of places and positions that you were put
Time
in.
is money. Nobody stops to ask you if you're okay.
No, they don't.
If you have to go into the bathroom, if you're trying to boil water, I remember doing this a scene on as Juliet, and I was like about to pop pregnant, and they wrote in that I'm doing yoga. Okay, so I'm mid whatever, and I finally, after all day, I'm like, I have to go 10-1, which is how we say we have to go to the bathroom. But I remember the first safety going, like, please, like, she's dancing on my bladder, and he just looked at me and goes, but we're set up, can you just hold it? And I was like, okay. And saying okay, I knew it was going to get me to the bathroom faster than having the argument of that this is wildly inappropriate.
I would have loved for you just to 10-1s, just right on that pose, and then we would have to get wardrobe, everybody. I'll tell you anything about that. Do you think that, how has the industry changed, or like we were just talking about backstage with younger actors, whenever you are on set now with younger actors, where your line of protection, where your mama bear steps in, what would you like to see different, or how do you cultivate a different experience for the younger actors?
I mean, the expectations, time is money, and people don't care. I mean, I remember having to talk with Lennon and Stella into a crying scene, and she'd never done it before, and the people think it's just like it's super easy, and you're like, you're not understanding where this child has to go, and she is a child. But someone steps up and I start growling. I'm like, you really want to do that? I don't think so. Let me handle the situation. You just roll and you let her take her action. Okay? That's how we're gonna do this.
Period.
Period.
What is your recovery process? You were praised so much as a child for getting to immediate vulnerability. Did you ever teach yourself a recovery process, or what is your recovery process now when your instrument goes through all of the experiences that you did in front of a camera?
Well, obviously, it was not good. It was
Well,
not
no.
healthy.
You experienced it with all the
experimented
recovery.
with all the unhealthy routes, but I also, what a lot of people don't know too is like when you sign onto a project, you are signing 6 years of your life away based on one script. So you have and you really don't know what you're in for. And I didn't realize how much it was affecting me until it just became so resentful and ugly and upset. And then when I went home, I mean, I could not get myself out of like a corner of the bed. Like the bed became my safe nook. But I wasn't checking in with myself. I just I'm a perfectionist. Like I've been groomed. I'm so militant because I've been groomed. It's from such a young age that you don't ask questions. Someone says, you stand on the mark, you get your lines right. They ask you to throw yourself at a building in the middle of the night in the pouring rain over and over and over again, these crazy stunts, and you're like, cool, yeah, sure, no problem, again, and I just got to a age where I was just so emotional and so upset, like all the time, that I was trying anything to make it okay.
Well, I don't, again, there's no rule book for this, right? Nobody comes in, there wasn't many people before you that got to growl at somebody on set and have that protection layer. The other thing that I think for people that are not in the industry, that I'd be curious about, Nashville, they started kind of mimicking your life. So what you were experiencing in real life, it just ended up in the scripts.
And they were talking to therapists.
Yes.
First about the storylines. And I was like, I can't fire you, but you should quit immediately. Like this is just like, it's wild, and I was stuck, even though I knew the toll it was taking on me. I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't run.
They weren't consulting you. You didn't. I think a lot of people think that we have control
No.
over what gets written or how it gets rewritten. I think some people had some of that power to be able to rewrite some stuff, but
it takes time, and some people, and then the crews, they want to go. It's a team sport. It's not an individual. So if you can't do it for yourself, you're doing it for the crew to get them home. But we were at like 9-day episodes, 12 to 20 hours a day, 10 months out of the year, and people like crew members started like getting physically hurt on set because of the exhaustion towards the end, falling off ladders. You're just like, how fast can we get this?
How fast? Yeah. Again,
done. I'm not even going to bother to complain or try to rewrite this scene.
Talking about rewriting, not having the power to do it on Nashville, and then going through the experience of postpartum and an addiction, and then ultimately coming to the most, I think, I'm going to put it this way, the most selfless decision you could possibly make for your daughter and your family, and then having the tabloids run it in a different way. I'm really curious, and I'm so grateful that you were able to share your side of the story in this book, but what you would be willing to share right now before everybody even reads it about that pivotal moment.
Yeah. I remember walking down, I was in the airport, and I was conversations, and on the outermost stand, it was just my face, and the cover said why Hayden Panettiere gave up her daughter.
Oh, man.
And you might as well have taken a knife and stabbed me in the heart. If anyone knew me, they know that I would do absolutely anything for my daughter, and sometimes that means not what you want as a mom, or what's gonna make you feel good as a parent, and what's best for them.
When Vlad gave you those pieces of paper, and you talk about this in the book, I'm really curious who was the sounding voice. I know your dad was there. To get you to the place of signing those papers, what kind of conversation you were able to have, either with yourself or somebody else, to be able to put her front and center, and not your desires, not even his desires, what was best for them, if you're willing to share, because some of that is not in the book. Getting from point A to point B to make that decision.
I'd be a little careful. I want to make sure I continue to have a beautiful relationship with my daughter, but I'll just say that sometimes it's not an option. In that moment when I had those papers there, my dad was not present. It was actually at a restaurant, and I had no idea that all these people that had to be witnesses that filed in and just sat down, and I'm sitting there with these papers, gritting my teeth as hard as I can to not start sobbing. And then I just heard them laughing and chuckling, and I was like, I can't believe you can watch somebody who's obviously doing one of the most painful things in the world. And as soon as I was done, I ran down. We were in a restaurant. I locked myself in the bathroom and refused to come out until they cleared, because I was just trying to process the reality of the situation.
To me, that's one of the most heartbreaking decisions that any mother would ever have to sit in, regardless of what has transpired before. And I just want to say, what has transpired since, your level of acceptance, selflessness, to provide her with a environment of love and still be able to,
And anonymity.
yes, and that's what I really seek it
And
to.
protection, and they having I mean, she has to look at who her parents are, and she gets to live the life that she wanted when growing up, and it gets to be her choice.
That was
Did you
the
hear
part of how you were raised is part of what you get to bestow upon her in such a beautiful way. Such a beautiful way. And in this book, she gets to hear and see your heart and soul and all of it.
She wants to read this book so bad. And I'm just sitting there going,
A few more years.
a few more years. Yeah, I just, the postpartum depression said, I don't want her to ever read it and think that it's her fault.
Yeah.
That
She gets a
anything
little
is
bit
her
older.
fault.
Yeah, I think one of those things as
And
a
I didn't
woman,
love her.
you
Like,
loved
yeah,
her the most.
I love her so dearly, but I try an 11-year-old trying to process that, and if the story's being about them, I want to I'll continue to protect her as viciously as I need to.
And when she becomes a mother, you'll be there knowing exactly how this whole entire process goes from blooming to rebirth and all of it.
She called me Brittany the other day. I'm FaceTiming with her, and she
Which
goes,
is
"Hi,
Britney,
Brittany."
character or Britney Spears?
No, Brittany, the character.
Okay.
My brain was like, "What are you talking about? Have you forgotten my name? That's bad." And no, she was like, I realized it was from Bring It On.
You gotta teach her to crump.
I was just thinking, perfect. When my child starts crumping. Stop.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so we're gonna get to some audience questions, but when you imagine a reader finishing the last page of this memoir, what is the one thing above all else you hope that they carry with them?
Strength, humility. It's okay to be human and flawed. Perfection is boring.
Perfection's so
Love it.
boring. It's so
I mean, think about the shows that we watch and the characters that we fall in love with. I always wonder why is it acceptable on screen?
yes.
Yeah, in real life,
Oh, wow.
it's not acceptable. That's flaws.
Yeah.
Most beloved characters, the ones we can relate
Mm-hmm.
to, give us, the strength but it's not acceptable in person. But we're getting better.
We are
We're
getting better, but our mirror neurons go off when we can relate to somebody on the screen. We relate to flaws. We relate to overcoming. We relate to a reckoning, a retribution, which is why I'm glad you finally get to show us what we can relate to. This book is what we can relate to, more so than some of the characters, but even some of your characters were just based off of you in the most beautiful way. I wish they would have been more responsible in the handling of that, to have you be more included, but hey, now here we are. This is you now. I'm so excited. Okay, so some of these great audience questions, I'm gonna go through some of them. I love this one. Is there a role you turn down that you sometimes think about still?
Never turn down a role. I never Google myself, and for very good reasons, but before I did this press tour, I was like, I need a reminder of my childhood on screen. I realized there's like literally no product in the 90s that I end up.
You sold us everything. We bought everything. We bought everything that you were saying.
I was like, oh my.
Scrubbing the shit.
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, I'm now so old, I mean, Dave Thomas was alive. I don't remember with me. Oh, boy. I shouldn't admit that. I'm just in my 20s, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you look
Thank
it.
you. I love you.
Okay, so after everything you've experienced publicly and privately, what gives you peace now?
Being surrounded by the people I love most, and the people that make me laugh and accept me, and I don't have to filter myself or be in fear at all of judgment. Also, a good song.
Good song. Yes. Well, that was another question, is that people wanted to know about your Nashville. Did you have a favorite song to record while shooting Nashville?
Oh my gosh, the amount of the songs that I mean, I love it was when I sang about that fireball, and I was like, this is relatable for me at the moment. This is exactly walking out the back door, stumble into his cap, I'm a girl. I loved it that I got to actually perform on stage. Nothing in this world will ever break my heart again. I mean, that was a moment, and it's so relatable for me. There's a lot. There's a few.
On the heels of that, which reading your book, watching your work, sitting with you on stage right now, you talk about stage fright and nerves, but yet you step on a stage, you sing songs, you talk to all of us. How do you handle your stage fright so well? Or what
Maybe
is
that.
But is there something, like, literally to deal with the nerves that you're able to do, or a process that you do? Or does it excite you almost?
It's been, to be completely honest, like it's like the adrenaline. It's like the adrenaline, and then afterwards it drop and you drop, and your nervous system goes like, oh my gosh, I feel kind of like nauseous and sick to my stomach. But I just try to connect with the person that I'm with, and I've been fortunate enough throughout this this tour to have people that have been so gentle and so kind and so aware of my emotions and make me feel safe. And I also like watched interviews and hung on to, as long as I stick to my truth, I cannot go wrong.
There it is.
Absolutely. Okay, this I love this one. Somebody just asked, where did I lost the question? It was about a sequel to this book. Yes, what would be named it? If this is a reckoning, and I really love this, what is this next book? But then what's our sequel?
All the things I skipped over.
Just enough time to get to some of those.
Yes, I mean, there's some moments of these stories that people are like, you need to write a book. This is unbelievable. But truth is stranger than fiction. It really is.
It really is. Sometimes you just can't write it as good as it unfolds. Okay, I'll leave us here because I'm not quite sure where we are on time. Where are we? Do we have a lot more time? A little bit more time? Don't know.
You're good.
Keep going, this is fine.
What's something fans would be surprised to learn about you?
That they don't know me.
Read the book.
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 You can tell Panettiere. Actually, there's a chapter that's called Non sono francese, and that my last name that my mom made me pronounce Panettiere is Panettiere.
You were my Italian sister. And
Yes.
when I read that, I was like, yes, she is.
People think that Italians can't be have blonde hair and
Here we
green
are.
eyes. I'm like, have you ever been to Italy? I've seen
Southern
Italy.
Yeah, all over. Was it hard to go back into acting after being away for a while?
It was scary. It was the first time that I was really scared, and it was almost like the stage fright kind of kicked in, and I lost the trust in myself as an actor, and I was really lucky that I stepped. I mean, I got to go back to Scream.
I have a lot of questions about Scream that I know you can't answer. You guys want to know the tea, but she can't answer. There's no way you can answer some of these.
I think that's against a morality clause.
If you weren't acting, what career would you have pursued, do you think?
I would have worked with animals. I would have loved to work with exotic animals.
Has Spyglass called you yet?
Oh.
No.
We need her
Sometimes I have to call them. I mean, I when doing Scream, I called them and asked them to bring me back.
You called
You're
them?
damn
No,
right they
I was
did.
like, don't forget, I'm still alive. I'm going to come back. I begged them to book me. It's Route 6.
Well done. Ask her what you want. You were at that place, you should ask me what you want. I'm like, what do you want next then? What do you want next? Let's hold space. I love holding space in a large community of people. And when you say it in a community of people, and so it is. What is it that- Yes. What is it that you want to do next? You've done blockbuster movies. You've been a part of hit television. You have now written a book. You are a mother. You've done so many more things than some people do in 60 years of a lifetime.
I have a laundry list.
Give us a couple.
I would love to direct.
Ooh.
I think I really want to direct and be that person that creates a safe environment for actors and be like, this is the experience you're supposed to have. I would love to produce, kind of trying my hand at writing. I'd love to, anything creative, something that brings money, and so I don't have to wait for roles to show up. You ready? I'm ready.
I love this. How long did the writing process take from start to finish, and what was your process for writing?
2 years.
2 years, start to finish.
I have never done one project. Oh, well, that's not true. What am I talking about? I've been in TV shows for multiple, but like this, I mean, it was, oh my gosh. It was so emotionally charged in the places. I realized that there were a lot of blanks in my memory. And I had to really allow myself to travel back in time and relive it in detail. And you spent a lot of people. I mean, it was therapeutic to get the skeletons out of the closet and the dust and whatever. But at the same time, like when you go through the editing process of it and you're rereading the 300-page version of the life over and over and all these traumatic events. But I will say the thing that got me more was doing the audio book version of it.
It's really good.
Thank you. I mean, I was so scared, so nervous the whole time. It was 7 hour blocks. And I was like, how does anybody like not go cross-eyed at this point? And then I could barely get through the end.
Yeah.
My brother part, they were like, you have to reread that because I just kept getting like choked up. And luckily I had a couple people I love to hug that ran in the recording booth and just grabbed me.
And helped you through that process. I think also with the audiobook, being able to hear the vulnerability that you bring to your instrument is the thing that we all show up for again. That is it.
And I mean, it's nice to, everyone reads books in their own, voice, and so for people to be able to hear it out loud and hear the intonation, the sense of humor, and like really get it right. And I mean, I braved and I'm glad that I did.
I'm glad that you did, and I think your daughter's going to really love that someday. To be able to hear you
God
speak
bless,
the
she's gonna
words.
get her hands on that. Approval. I got the call, the call, the first time call of Mom, you have to call James Cameron and you have to be in the next Avatar, okay? I'm not allowed to because I have to go to school, but and I just see her dad like sliding down, and then he was like, please tell her she doesn't want to be actress.
And do you tell her? Does she have inclinations for the creative?
She's a horseback. I mean, she's a lover of horses. She's an animal lover. I might bring her on some
so she can see how it is. But I was like, once you give up your anonymity and your privacy, darling, you can't get it back.
Yeah.
So try some things. Let's go to college. Like she's so great socially and has so many friends and everything that I have struggled with, and you can't ask for more than that as a parent. But we'll see which direction she goes. Past a certain point, you can't stop them. You just have to support them in whatever they choose to do.
And if she does, she's
And if she does,
then you'll be
she
doing
gets, I mean, she gets it, but it's her choice, and it's going to be it's a different experience when it's your choice.
Completely. If you could have your anonymity back for a day, a week, a month, what is the one thing, a couple of things that you would really like to experience?
I mean, the thing about is that was also great about Nashville is that they didn't have, there were no paparazzi there. TMZ tried to open an office there, and I was like, you can't do this with country.
No.
I mean, you want to get close to some of these boys? I don't think so. And we don't we're not you can't find us all in one place and just step onto their property. It's a free for all. So that shut down real quick. But what is one thing that I would, I mean, I've not stopped myself from doing anything, to be completely honest. I can't think of anything. I've held on to as much of a normal life as possible. Maybe strip naked in the street.
Absolutely. That skinny dipping, I've missed a couple times, right?
I've done that anyway.
And that's where we invest. That's going to get to read your words. Your instrument was made to literally be able for us to put our mirrored neurons onto you. Thank you for mirroring back to each one of us in these seats how to deal with grief, how to walk through fire, how to pick ourselves up off of the floor, how to recover, and how to know that there's always a tomorrow.
I walked through fire and I didn't get burned.
Yes.